Well, I've just completed my excursion to the Motor Vehicles Division of the state of Arizona, and I have been pissed off and had my blood pressure shot through the fucking roof. That hardly seems surprising, and yet I had such hopes. I had such high hopes. I mentioned the real ID and the replacement driver's license. So I was able to go online and you schedule an appointment to have this done. Like I said, you have to schedule an appointment, you have to meet with someone, you have to go through the process. Which is bullshit. But had to do it. So I scheduled the appointment. They printed out a sheet that had a barcode on it that you would use to come in, and you scan at a kiosk and you're already auto checked in. I filled out the actual application online, which was a trivial application, but I filled out the application online, and they even give you a printout of that, although it doesn't have the data on it, but they give you a barcode for that so that you can hand it to them, and then they can call the application up in their computer. Both of those seem like good ideas. And so there's a donut shop up here. I think I'm gonna try Rainbow Donuts and see if they're any good. Hang 10 while I get donuts. Donuts are going to go a long way towards easing my irritation. So I showed up with my reservation, checked in. That went fine, except, and they took my picture, which is what it said on the instructions. The instructions said specifically, scan your barcode to check in, go stand in the photo line to have your picture taken, wait for your number to be called. Okay. Now the first thing I noticed about DMV is that they no longer have any seats or any waiting. Everything's done in a line. You don't have anywhere to sit and wait. The second thing that happened is when I checked in, she took my picture, she handed me a card, she said, go stand in line 3 and for the next available person, which is not the same as having an appointment. So we got up to I got up to the thing. I had the necessary documents that I told them I was going to bring. My social security card, issued by the federal government, my bank statement, my city water bill, and my passport, or my passport card. And the only thing about is, to me, and by the way, for those who don't know, a social security card is not identification. Never has been, and even printed on the cards, not for identification purposes. You can't use a social security card for identification. It is literally just a meaningless piece of paper with a name and a social security number on it. Okay? Mine was issued in about 1965, and I signed it probably in about 1973. Needless to say, the signature looks nothing like my signature now. I don't even think they put signatures on them anymore, because again, it's a meaningless card. You're supposed to hand it to an employer when you get employed, but that's it. But what good does it do if they can't use it as identification? I don't know. I've never quite understood that. The reason I'm mentioning that is that they wouldn't take my social security card. It's so old that the typewritten name, as in a person manually typed it on the card, is not illegible, but it's not crystal clear. It's very obvious what it says. They wouldn't take it. And I got pissed off. This is hardly a surprise. They wouldn't take it. I got the supervisor over. Supervisor wouldn't know it. They gave me this bullshit argument. So it's not us. We'd take it, but it's the federal government. Bullshit, it's the federal government. And of course that ties into the whole Arizona always does this to be assholes about federal government programs. And I was pretty shit and fire at that point. And they are going to get a call from the state ombudsman office because that's fucking bullshit. So, well, you know, guy at the thing, and he says, you know, it's not necessary. Anyway, so because my license has to have a new picture taken, right? And they already took my picture. And honestly, I wasn't sure my blood pressure was going to let me set foot in the MVD office for another 6 months. You know, there was a very real possibility that I'd just say fuck it for the time being and not pursue this, because I either have to get a replacement Social Security card, which, considering that my Social Security card has literally been missing for the last 20 years, you don't use it very often. And in fact, I don't think I ever even used it for my employers, my last 2 employers. You just tell them what your Social Security number is, and they look it up, and it matches the name, and then they're done. Because they've got an employment tie-in system anyway. So the whole thing is absolute crap. But they can take a W-2 form, but you see, you don't get your W-2 forms until about January. And the other ID, everything else in there says everything has to be current within 90 days. Well, I don't have a 90-day-old W-2 and won't have a 90-day-old W-2 until later in the year or early in next year. And I made that comment. Oh, no, W-2 can be anytime, doesn't matter. The irony is that my W-2s come from their employer. They're all from the state of Arizona. And they work for the state, and it's the state that won't accept the federal Social Security card, but they will take a W-2 form that they issued. But wouldn't it make more sense that since they've already issued my stuff in a W-2 that I should be in the system? And they're just, it's, So, Mike said, well, they just took my picture. I don't know I'm going to be back. Can you at least get it updated so that they don't have to, you know, that by the deadline of December 1st, that I've come in here and I've gotten my picture taken for the license? Yeah, we can do that. That's $12. So I had to pay him $12. The real ID is $25. Again, they charge more just so that they can, you know, make it look like you're getting screwed by the federal government. And the guy says, well, you know, just get another ID. It don't want to be a big deal. I said, it's the pain in the ass of having to set up the appointment and take out my time and the thing. And he goes, oh, you don't need it. And it's like, I was in, you know, so of course I need it. I need this to walk into federal buildings. And no, you don't need an appointment. They're not required. That's just a convenience. Of course, it doesn't say that anywhere on their website. Their website says you need an appointment. But I didn't go into that. He's like, no, you don't need an appointment. And to be fair, there was nobody there at the end of the month. There was nobody there. So I thought, well, okay, fine, I could probably deal with that. So I drove home, and I'm driving home. And by the time I got home, I thought, you know, I've seen a moderately recent W-2 while I was cleaning. And there was nobody at DMV, so maybe I should just grab. And by the way, DMV's 15 minutes tops from my house. It's just straight down the main street in front of my house, about 5 miles. And so I went home, popped the cabinet, found a W-2 form, and said, fine, I'm going to drive back right now and deal with this. And I went back to the information counter because now I don't have an appointment, right? So you have to get a ticket, which makes no sense because they do it based on a line. That's Governor Ducey's lean efficiencies in action. So I went to the woman at the information counter and said, I was just here about, earlier. Oh, yeah. She remembered me. And because there literally aren't that many people there. And they had a problem with my ID, and they just said that I didn't need an appointment to do the real ID, so I'm back. And they go, okay, well, go get in line 2. I'm like, which is a completely different line than what they put me in before. But okay, fine. So I get in line 2, and they call me over. Thankfully, it was not the same person because... But now, I don't have the paper that they gave me with the scan code, that I printed with a scan code, that said, you filled out your application, right? Because they took that from me. And so she had trouble finding that. Because you see, they issued me that other, they took the picture and put it on a non-standard renewal license, or a non-real ID renewal license, and apparently, flushes it, or they can't use it, or... So then she had to go through the whole process of refunding my driver's license, and then that required visits to the supervisor and whatnot. And finally, they got around to doing the thing, and they got it straightened out in the end. The woman that I was dealing with at the end was and the first person was pleasant but stupid as a fucking gerbil, as was their supervisor. And anyway, it's taken care of, but I am looking forward to not having to go back to DMV for another 8 years. Let me tell you. And let me ask you this question. Do you think they're going to make me prove my identification all over again, despite the fact that I'll have a real ID that says that I've been verified? So shouldn't I just be able to renew that in the future? Bet you can't. Bet you they make you go through the whole bullshit process again just to show you how evil the federal government is. Well, I'm home. I feel like taking a nap.